Hello everyone, this is CG Astrophotography. Thank you for 150 subscribers, I really appreciate your support. And today I would like to show you how I edit my astrophotos. This is my first and latest edit of the Lagoon and Trifid Nebula. I took it in June 2019, 21 light frames, 2-minute subs, 10 dark frames, and 27 bias frames I think. I took no flats for this image. I took this image with my Canon 6D, which wasn't modified at the time, with my Redcat 51 telescope and the SkyGuider Pro mount, and this is one single 2-minute light frame. I also didn't use any filter for this object, because when you photograph under a dark sky like Portal 2 or 3, you also don't even need a modified camera for this target, because this nebula shows the core of the Milky Way and it is really bright. Let's see if the new image will turn out looking better than this one, or worse. I thought I could reduce the stars a little bit more to make the nebulosity pop even more. Alright, let's jump in. Now I have loaded the stacked TIFF file from Deep Sky Stacker into Photoshop, and it's amazing that you can already see incredible detail here in that image, especially in the single frame one, like this. Just a single frame 2 minutes up. Really amazing. I would like to mention that this is not really a tutorial, it's just me showing you how I edit my astrophotos. There are so many great astrophotographers out there who know a lot more than I do, simply because I learned from them. So of course this is not the only way to edit your astrophotos. Now let's begin. In order to load your TIFF file into Photoshop, go to File, Open, and choose your autosave TIFF file from Deep Sky Stacker. I have already done that, so I won't do it again. Then go to Image. In order to unlock all the adjustments here, go to Mode and change it from 32 bits to 16 bits per channel. Then a window pops up and you need to choose Exposure and Gamma. And hit OK. First you need to open your levels, Ctrl L, or go to Image, Adjustments, Levels. Here you see all the data of your image. The dark areas, the midtones, and the bright areas. As you see, the image is rather dark, so the data is at the left side of this graph or histogram. What you need to do now is you move the left slider to the point where the data begins and hit OK. Now we can start stretching the image. Ctrl M or go to Image, Adjustments, Curves, and create a curve with this line here, but make sure you don't touch the top. Like this. OK. Open your levels again, Ctrl L, and again you move the slider to the beginning of the data. OK. And now we can do another curve stretch, Ctrl M, but this time not too aggressive. Like this. OK. In order to get a more neutral background, since the image is rather bright now, open your levels again and click on the pipette in the middle and select a dark area in your image, a dark sky background. Don't click on a star or a nebula. I think here might be good. OK. And now you have a more neutral background. You always check your levels. You can move the slider again to create more contrast. It's also important for you to duplicate the layer, because if you screw something up in a process, you can always go back to your original image. Let's do another curve stretch. Just a slight one. OK. And after stretching your image, you need to do an S-curve. An S-curve stretch. Like this. To get even more contrast. Because I didn't take any flat frames, it starts affecting the corners here. But I don't worry about that, because I'm gonna crop the image a little bit. Okay. I might do another curve stretch, but this time just a little. Okay. The levels to get more contrast. And another really slight S-curve. Okay. If you click on this eye icon, you see the before and after comparison. Before and after. And now I'm gonna make a copy again, because I'm gonna add saturation to the image. In order to do your adjustments, you always click on the top layer, the layer you work on. Image, adjustments, hue and saturation. I'm using about 30. I think that looks good. I leave the hue as it is. You see, I'm not adding any additional colors, I'm just increasing the saturation to bring out more of the nebulosity. Before and after. I think that looks good. I actually think that this image can have another S-curve. I make a copy again, just to go back in case I screw something up. The levers are looking good. I think I can be a little bit more aggressive. Bringing down the dark areas to reveal more of space here, while increasing the highlights. But be careful not to overexpose the bright areas inside the Lagoon Nebula. Zooming in. I don't want to overexpose the stars inside the Lagoon Nebula. Alright. Before and after. The image got more contrast, which looks much better now. And what I'm going to do now, I'm gonna make another copy, because I'm gonna run a Photoshop action. The action is called Astronomy Tools. I will put the link in the description for you to download. And I will run the action Local Contrast Enhancement. Now it takes a few seconds. And what the action has performed automatically, it has increased the micro contrast in your image, especially the dark nebulae here. And when you do a before and after, you see the result. The image got more contrast. Great. Now let's flatten the image. Right click, flatten image to make it a background layer. Another copy. And now it's time to bring the stars back a little bit to make the nebulosity more prominent. For this, in order to perform star reduction quickly, you can use Photoshop actions. The first would be make stars smaller under the Astronomy tool's action set. You can run it a few times. But recently I have discovered a German version. It's called Sterne verkleinern, which means reducing stars. And I think this one does an even better job at reducing stars. I will also put the download link in the description. Just in case this Photoshop action only works with a German version of Photoshop, I'm also going to show you how you can reduce the stars manually, showing you step by step what this tool actually does automatically. First, let's run the action, just to show you what it looks like. Sterne verkleinern, reducing stars. Click on the play button to run the action. Now it takes a little. And the stars, they have become quite a bit smaller. Before and after. If you zoom in, the stars, they still look good, which is very important when you perform a star reduction. Before and after. That was easy, right? And in order to have more control over your star reduction, you have to do it manually. And here is how you do it. For manual star reduction, first you need to do is you select brighter stars. There is also a Photoshop action under Astronomy tools, which is called Select Brighter Stars. And hit the play button. Now again, it takes a little time and it's going to select the brighter stars. You see the marching ants all over the image? That means that all the brighter stars have been selected. It's very important because on these stars, the star reduction will be applied on. To make a selection manually, go to Select, Color Range, choose Highlights, and create a mask where it selects most of the brighter stars. But the problem here is that also the nebula or everything that is white will be selected. If you hit OK, and you see what I mean. And we would have to unselect this area. A little later, I'm going to show you how you unselect such an area before you make your star reduction. I have chosen Select Brighter Stars to make the selection, because it does a much better job than doing it manually. I want to unselect this specific area here, because I don't want Photoshop to perform a star reduction on this area, the brightest area inside the Lagoon Nebula. This is what I wanted to show you before, and in order to do this, go to Select, Select and Mask. For the view mode, you choose black and white. You see the selection is just better. Much better than doing it manually. And there's a problem that I don't want. Just paint black over this area here, using the paintbrush. By holding the Alt key and at the same time clicking on the left mouse pad, you can unselect this area. and also within the Trifid Nebula. Let's decrease the size. I don't want to perform star reduction within the nebula. So everything that is black is gonna be unselected. If you click on the view mode, marching ants, it has unselected this specific area within the nebula. Great. Now hit OK. For the next step we have to expand and feather the selection, because the selection is too close to the stars. Go to Select, Modify, Expand by 2 pixels, and again select, Modify, Feather by 2 pixels as well. And now you can perform the star reduction. And in order to do this, you can hide the marching ants by holding Ctrl and tapping H, Ctrl H, then go to Filter, Other, Minimum. I will enlarge this image here. OK, again, Filter, Other, Minimum. A preview window pops up, and here you can set the reduction value. We can try 1 pixel. Now it's a rather strong reduction. I think a little too strong actually. I'll go with 0.7. Before and after. And you preserve the roundness to maintain round stars and hit OK. And now you have done your star reduction, before and after. It reduces the stars much more than the Photoshop action Sterne verkleinern. If you think the reduction is a bit too much, you can always decrease the opacity to your preferences. I think I'll go with 80%. I think this amount of reduction is quite nice. After you have finished your star reduction, you need to delete the marching ants, Ctrl H to show them, and Ctrl D to delete them. Now we are almost done with our editing. But we are going to do some final tweaks to the image. We go to Filter, Camera Raw Filter, and we are adding some basic adjustments to the image, making the image a little bit brighter, increasing the contrast, turning down the highlights a little bit. Just play around with the settings. Increase the vibrance. Go to detail, zoom into your image, because sometimes there is color noise. And you can reduce the color noise a little bit, about 15. The image isn't that noisy, so we don't need a lot of noise reduction. I'll go with 5. And inside the Lagoon Nebula, we are using the adjustment brush. Set values back to 0 if they aren't already. Hold the left mouse tab and brush over the bright core of the nebula to make this area a little bit darker. Not too much. The highlights, about this. Okay. And for the final editing, I want to increase the H-alpha regions in the picture. Make a copy of the layer, and inside your Channels tab, click on the red channel, which is where all the H-alpha is located. And then you're going to edit the red channel only, without affecting the other channels. Ctrl A to select all, Ctrl C to copy, and then go to File, New, create a new image from Clipboard, and Ctrl V to paste. And here you have separated the red channel from the other channels. This is your original image. When you click on the RGB, this is your original image, and here you have the red channel only, which you can now edit. We just want to enhance the H-alpha regions. Open your curves, Ctrl M, and just bring down the curve a little bit. Okay, and then again, Ctrl A to select all, Ctrl C to copy, and go back to your original image. Make sure only the red channel is selected. Click only on the red channel. And then paste your image, which you have just edited, over the original red channel. Click on the RGB image now, and you see how the H-alpha regions have been increased. Before and after. But still, I want to get more contrast because the sky background is a bit too red now. Check your levels. Move the slider a little. Then open your curves again. Click on a dark background like here, in order to know where you need to push down the line. And now you make another S-curve. But to me, the image looks a little bit too colorful now. We're going to decrease the saturation. Adjustments, Hue and Saturation. Maybe 5. Okay. The levels, looking good. Zooming in. Okay. What we have done, we have replaced the edited red channel with our original red channel of our image within the channels tab here. I think the core of the Lagoon Nebula is still a bit bright. Filter, camera raw filter. And we are going to apply another adjustment brush inside this area here. I just want to see more detail inside the Lagoon Nebula. I think like this. Now I have played around with the settings in Camera Raw with the brush tool, and I'll leave it like this. But one more thing, you make a copy, open your levels again, because we edited the red channel separately. To me the image still looks a little bit too red overall. Here you go into your red channel and move the slider towards the right. A little bit. And also the middle slider to get a more neutral background. 0.90 maybe. Two. Okay. And hit OK. Before and after. Now let's call it a finished image and export the file. Export, export as. I choose JPEG. You can also choose PNG. And export all. Now let's compare the new one to the old one. This is the new one, and this is the old one. The colors look different, and I have brought back the stars a bit more, which is what I wanted. The core also turned out different. Overall, I'm quite happy with the result. I actually like the new one a little bit more. But what do you think? Which one looks better? The new one or the old one? Let me know in the comments. Okay, I hope this video helped you a little bit. As I told you, I'm not a professional, I'm still learning, and if you have any suggestions or tips for me how to improve my editing, feel free to let me know. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe if you would like to see more, I would really appreciate that. Thank you very much for watching, goodbye and clear skies.